Okay, so now we're going to look at the curves adjustment layer. So this tool is much like the levels adjustment tool, but it is kind of a souped up version. It's going to give you a little bit more control, especially within the mid-range values of your image. So I have an image here that we're going to work on. It's inside of our folder, inside week 1. In the levels adjustments, in a folder curves tool, and then the file is called needs contrast. So I'll go ahead and drag that over to Photoshop, and you see that this image is kind of shallow in its values, that it needs a little more depth. So I'm going to go ahead first off to double click on the hand so that I bring the image up and make it larger. And then now I will bring up the curves tool by going to my yin yang symbol down at the bottom and finding curves right below levels. So here you go. This is what the curves tool interface looks like in the properties panel. It again has a histogram behind it showing us the dynamic range of our image. So you'll see that there's not much dynamic range at the darks on this side. There's pretty good range up here in the highlights. So what we're going to do is we're going to harden up the darks by pulling this graph over on the darks. And then if we needed to lighten the highlights, then we would also pull this in. But as you can see, there are already pretty good amount of highlights in this image. So we will leave that where it's at, and we will go in and start adjusting the mid-range. So I am actually able to put up to 15 dots onto this line here, this graph line. And so that is subtly adjusting my my dynamic range in the mid-range. So instead of there being a triangle down here on the bottom, like the levels tool, I have this curved line where I'm able to add markers to subtly adjust it. If I wish to remove one of these, I just go over to it, I select it, and I take it right off the graph. So I add it just by coming on and putting one on, and I remove it just by taking it and dragging it off. So I like to do this by also, I'm in the master channel right now, but if I go to the reds, I can adjust the image for just the red channel first, and then and do my mid-range tones and make that look nice. And then I can work on the greens and again adjust that and make that look the best it can. And then I will go to the blue range as well and see the blue range, what I can do. So here in the blues you can see that it has less dynamic range in my highlights. So this is a case where I will go ahead and bring those over. And then I can adjust the mid tones here. Alright, and so then my master, the RGB channel, combines all of those three graphs, and you see that that is looking much better than what we started with. And I can go back to my original by clicking off this eye once again. So I see my beginning image, and now I see this. I might want to adjust the darks just a little bit. I might have lost some detail within the hair, but in general I'm pretty happy with this. So I would go and I would save that image. I could save it as do a save as and say curves updated image. And then I can press save here. If I do save as a copy, then it will go ahead and let me flatten the image out. So I'll save it as a JPEG here. And this will let the image lose this curves layer and be a smaller size than if I saved it as a PSD that we were looking at before, the Photoshop file. So if I push save then, and OK, and there it is. It's saved as a JPEG then in my folder. Okay, I'll go back over here and show you that right here. So this is my new version, and this was the older one. Okay, so I would like you to try using the curves tool on your own images and making an example of your curves tool within our folder. And please do not flatten your image, but do save it as a PSD file so that both the image and the original background copy and the adjustment layer are there so I can see what you did. Okay, thank you. I'll give you specifics about where to save that to on the written directions. Thank you.